Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you this Monday morning. Oh dear. Let's see what's going on. It is so nice to start out the Monday this way. I have to say, it's a bit frantic. Everything's a bit frantic, but it is so nice to touch base and be together. I mean, I feel like the Friday episode that we had this past week was so much fun looking at the book Hooked on Cook, which is an island off of Nova Scotia by Hetty Van Gerp. It was another one of our cozy Friday night, cocktail night episodes at 7 p.m. That's the weekday that we do an evening episode. But Hetty was on, and she was just great, and her book is just great and so cozy. It was the perfect book for me to kind of launch into the weekend and a couple of very busy weeks ahead. I hope you were on. I hope you saw it. It was so much fun. I don't know if it's just my eyes or if these glasses need a good clean or a good break and replacement, if you see what I mean. Oh, Kirsten, good to see you. Happy Monday. Linda, happy Monday. You have foliage envy. You know what? Connecticut, it looks okay. I have to say, it looks good. I'm surprised at how good the foliage looks at this moment. Because it wasn't looking good, and there's no reason to think that it was going to kind of kick up a little bit. From year to year, it's so different, you know, with the light changing at different times, of course, and the water levels and all of that, the wind blowing the leaves off the trees prematurely. But if you live in a part of the country or the world where you have foliage, it is just such a big deal. It's just one of those things that you look forward to, and you just keep hoping that it's going to be a good year for color, because it's just the one chance you get for such a short time. It's, you know, essentially, for me, in my opinion, a week that it's excellent, you know, such a short period of time that you have to enjoy it. And I just find myself looking forward to it so much and just hoping against hope, despite weather conditions every year, that it's going to be like the best one in a long time. Because I haven't in my mind felt that it's been the best one in a long time. But I guess it's like when we lived in the Netherlands, everybody always hoped all year that it would be cold enough for the rivers to freeze so people could skate to work, like, you know, Hans Brinker style. And recently there was one of those years, but they went like decades without having that kind of a year. I guess it's the same kind of thing for us here. I have so many things to tell you. Donna, great to see you. Is it today, Canadian Thanksgiving, or was it over the weekend? Because I saw some posts hinting at that, and I thought, oh my word, it's that time of year again. Unbelievable, like truly unbelievable. Happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian friends. I guess it is because Martha also says happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to Canadian friends. I'm just so excited about the seasons this year and the holidays, and you are starting us off with the first one, Canadian Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope that we see some pictures online later of fun times and nice food and all that. I will look forward to that immensely. Oh, see, I'm just behind the news. I haven't been online a lot this weekend. I wish I would have thought forward to that and done something special. Joy, good morning. Karen, good morning. And Catherine, good to see you in Southern California. Robin, hello in Wisconsin. And April, good afternoon. It is afternoon, you're right. Doreen, good to see you. Suze, hello in Kansas. A little maple leaf and a little pumpkin. I love it. Penny, good morning from South Carolina, full-time South Carolina. That is exciting. Becky, good to see you in Indiana. Oh, Robin, you can't wait to get your book from Friday night. It really was. It was so good. It was one of those dream books. And again, a huge thank you to Lisa for sending me that link, because I'm so busy right now that I feel like my head is going to detach from my body, like for scarecrow style, for real, and Ichabod Crane style, right? But yeah, I'm so glad that she gave me that heads up on that book, because it turned out to be such a good one. Such a good one. I try to stay on top of these things, but we're going into a time right now for a couple of weeks where I'm going to be really sketchy in terms of participation. And I'm just going to say in advance, I love you. I love seeing everybody. I love our time together. It's ratcheting up for me in a tremendous way with working on a book that has deadlines and trying to get orders out. I've been doing a lot less with putting out new things and advertising because I have a lot less time to fulfill orders right now. So it's just it's a good problem, right? It's a good problem to be this busy, but it's the kind of frantic, frenetic busyness that is not like so good. gives me this sort of heart racing fun times, So we're going to see how it goes. I'm going to run coffee time Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week. And I forgot, it's bingo time this week, but I'm going to be in Vermont already because I'm teaching on Saturday in Vermont, like very far up near Montpelier. So it's going to be quite a drive for me. I'm leaving the night before, so I won't be on for cocktail night this week. I'm teaching in Vermont at Mad River Fibers this coming Saturday. And the following Saturday, I'm teaching on Cape Cod at Salt Yarn in Dennis on Route 6A. Those are both going to be great, fun classes for beginners or experienced people alike. It's going to keep me busy for a couple of weeks, and then these book deadlines are very, very tense at this moment. So I'm going to be with you as often as possible, but I'm sorry there's not as much new stuff coming out and liveliness as I would like for myself and for ourselves. But you will see this time is going to yield a great book that is super exciting and fun and great eye candy. And I know I'm putting a lot of your pieces into this book. I'm getting emails. If I haven't responded yet, I will. It's just been frantic. So all of that is happening. And hopefully with the promotion of it, I will be traveling quite a bit next year and maybe be able to get to some places I haven't been to get together and have hook-ins and have fun together. So it's a bit of a squeeze for a while, and then hopefully it all pays off in a nice way. So Catherine, good to see you. Beverly, good morning from Chile, PNW. PNW. Why am I struggling with PNW? Beverly, what is wrong with me? What is wrong? Is this the moment? My mother always says when we talk about, I always say, kind of bragging, gosh, I'm amazed that my memory is as good as it still is after all those years working in the theater. Not that I did anything bad. It was just a lot of memory stuff, and frantic, dressing people and running around stuff. And then all those years tour guiding when everything was in my head, it seems like I'm still in a place for the most part where I remember things quite quickly. And whenever I say that to her, she says, there's going to be one moment on coffee time when you just stare blankly at the camera. You have no idea what to say. I hope it's not this morning, but I'm sure that that's true. It's going to happen. So good to see you, Catherine. Great to see you, Dave. Percolator is bubbling away. Oh, I wish I could join you. I wish I was set up. I'm going to do that right after coffee time. That sounds fantastic. Donna, great to see you. Martha says this is Thanksgiving Day, so truly happy Thanksgiving to Canadian friends. That is so exciting. I have got to read up on Canadian Thanksgiving because I'm sure it's obviously completely different story than American Thanksgiving, and I'd love to hear more about it, learn more about it. It has been such a busy time. I was so sad this weekend with the amount of craziness and demands. I really wanted to go to the Renaissance Festival this weekend with Kira in Carver, Massachusetts. I haven't been for about 20 years, but I just couldn't. It was just too long of a haul. It's quite a few hours each way. And I wanted to stay over and dress the kids up, and I just didn't get to it this year. Next year, I have got to be pacing myself better. I bet you can all relate to that kind of a sentiment. It's tough sometimes, but it's going to have to be next year. But it was still a lovely weekend. We went up to my mom's so I could get a little bit of time to work on stuff and change of scenery for the kids. But still, I managed to take the kids out to some local places to my mom, which are so good. I always forget how charming. She lives in Granby, Connecticut, so the northwest corner. So she's quite near the Berkshires. She's the last town before the Massachusetts line. There's so much going on there. And I was able to bring them very locally to like more than a couple of pumpkin patches. Our favorite one that always has a fantastic corn maze didn't do the corn maze this year, so we still went and bought some pumpkins. But then there was a new one that I never go to because it looks, it looked less exciting than the others somehow. But they advertised a Halloween train. And I thought, well, in lieu of the corn maze, maybe we'll stop and do that. And it was so cute. It was a tractor. It's a Christmas tree farm. A tractor pulling all these little sort of homemade boxes with seats in them through these fields with all of these cutouts of characters and monsters and scary, scarecrows dressed up in it. It was long. It was a good 20 minutes. And I was starting to get a bit like seasick, bumping along in this Christmas tree farm field. But the kids loved it, and it was so much fun. And the really interesting thing about that stop, was that when I went inside, they had a primitive little gift shop, and they had a few hooked rug items, and they didn't look like they were made in someplace else. They looked like they were made by somebody's hands right here. And so I had to ask the woman who ran the place, who made these hooked rugs? And she said so and so, and I didn't catch the name, but I will try to follow up. And it's a woman who lives in that area who is quite a bit older at this point, and she said not really super busy these days, like kind of feeling it and not really super active, because I was kind of trying to horn in on their group. She said that, quite often they get together and still have hook-ins. And I thought, well, I'm often in this neck of the woods because I'm often visiting my mom, and I would love to come to it. And I didn't say it, obviously, that would be very bold. But I was so hoping that she was going to say, well, why don't you come next time? Because I would love to meet this woman. She does very primitive stuff. I will figure out the name. I will do some detective work, or just go back and buy one of her pieces. But, there was only a few things, but she had like a beautiful chair pad with like a salt box house, 2 of them, very pretty. Very traditional colors. She had like a 3-dimensional little character. I forget what the head, I think it was a pumpkin head, but the whole body was hooked. And she had some small coasters of witches' hats, that kind of thing. And I mean, they were all super, super pretty. I was just so interested in finding out who the person was, because you know how I feel about documenting the work of people who are, particularly people who are older. And this woman said, oh, I think she designed at one point in her life. And I thought, okay, need more information, because if she did, I would love to figure out and track and trace her design. So we have that as a finite piece of rug hooking history. While she's still here, while she's still even occasionally working, it would be so nice to get that. So I'm going to follow up on that, but I didn't want to be a pressure puss on the day of the Halloween train running and a lot of customers in the store. So it was just interesting to kind of fall into that and to find out there's a bit of a hive of hookers right in that immediate area. That are not part of ATHA and are not part of an organized group. They're just doing the kind of old style get-together thing. So more on that. And as you find situations like this, please let us know, because everybody's always looking for these amazing, quaint, old-timey moments where you can get together with other hookers in somebody's living room. I'm looking for that. I think everybody's looking for that. So as we find out about these and are able to make them public, let's share the information, because coming into winter again, it's just so nice to get together and get to know each other. Yeah, it was Pacific Northwest. See, there is a problem with my brain, big problem with my brain today. But that was super fun. And this other crazy thing happened. I stopped at an antique store because I just had to have a quick look to see if there were any rugs in there. If there was something new, I would have had to grab it, And I went in there, and the kids were moaning and groaning. They're old enough that I can leave them in the car with the windows open without getting arrested. So I did, and I went and shot through there. And wouldn't you know, Teddy has been obsessed with the idea of the movie Scream, which he is not going to watch in the next 10 years. But he likes the face mask, for Halloween, and he likes the special ones that are different colors. And he's been looking for the one that's a metallic red devil face with horns, but the Scream face, and it has like the black hood around it. It was sitting right there in the antique store for $6. I saw it on eBay for $141. It was sitting right there for $6. I thought I would die. He was so happy and excited that he wore it on the Halloween train. He wore it to all 3 different pumpkin stores where we were shopping for. Joss was shopping for bath bombs and homemade perfume and candy corn, this kind of thing. And there's Teddy, normal, with his metallic devil Scream face mask on. I think people really enjoyed it. But if it wasn't Halloween, it would have been very odd indeed. It was really fun. It was really fun. We did some nice things, and I also managed to stop by the Norman Rockwell Museum because they're having a special exhibit on fantasy stuff, like fantasy painting, and I knew the kids would love that, because at the Norman Rockwell Museum, which is in Stockbridge, Mass., Norman Rockwell, when that museum was being set up, he was alive, and he really stipulated very clearly that he always wanted another artist, at least one other artist, to be displayed and present in the museum, not just him. And I love that sentiment. I borrow that sentiment from him. So it's like an exhibit right now on fantasy art and painting, going back to the 19th century, but a lot of early 20th century sci-fi covers and stuff like that is very cool. And it was just beautiful to see some of those old time, they didn't have all my favorite Rockwells out, but they had Day in the Life of a Girl, which is one of my favorites because it reminds me of Joss so much. And they had Family Tree. They had the really sort of poignant 1960s era one of the new family, the black family moving into this very white neighborhood, and the kids standing out front the moving truck greeting each other. And both of the little girls, the black one and the white one, have a pink bow in their hair. The boys are all holding catcher's mitts for baseball. And like the little white girl has a cat, the little black girl has a dog. It's like, it looks like everything is going to be great, right? Everything is going to go great. But then over their shoulder, you see like the nosy neighbor in the window pulling the curtain aside on the phone, probably talking a lot of trash and smack to neighbors. So it's such a poignant one. And it was the one that Jocelyn, who's just turned 7, was so interested in. Because, of course, she's got kids in her class who are white, black, brown, everything. And she was so interested in that idea. And I didn't want to go too far with it because she's not aware of the whole civil rights movement and all of that. And that's going to be part of the history that she learns as she gets a little bit older. But I was amazed at how interested she was in Norman Rockwell. And I had this idea because if you remember last American Thanksgiving, I did a Norman Rockwell episode, Hook Drugs in Rockwell Paintings. So I had this idea that maybe, not in the next couple of weeks when things are so crazy, but maybe I'll get in touch with them because I used to bring my tour groups there once a week for like 10 years. So I still have contacts there. Maybe I'll write to them and say, like, are any of these hook drugs actually like in the prop collection still? Would it ever be a thing for like people who are fairly local to be able to have an event where we go and look at the hook drugs that he actually used in the paintings and maybe sit and have a hook in, because they do have spare rooms downstairs for events. I thought that could be a really nice outing, right? We could be tying a couple things together and then have a walk around the main street of Stockbridge, which he famously painted, with a beautiful country store and general store and the old Red Lion Inn, beautiful pub inside there. Could be a very nice day for us. So that is a big to be continued. Lisa said, I saw Hook Drug for $5 and 30% off at the Antique Mall this weekend. Oh dear, it was 5x7, but it was too far gone. It was worn so thin, such a shame. That is a shame. Lisa, did you by any chance get a picture of it? The only reason I'm asking is because now Judy Taylor has that amazing Facebook page where people are restoring rugs. And for that reason, I'm trying to bring out my rugs that are really far gone that I know I don't have time for. And I want to make a push, again, not in the next 2 weeks, to bring them out and see if anybody wants them to work on his projects, because Judy Taylor's very present on that page and very forthcoming with help in repairing even the most far gone rugs. So I'm going to try to do that too. I have some that are just, I just can't deal with everything right now. But maybe other people have more time and would like to work on some restoration projects, because that is so heartbreaking, isn't it? Oh dear, Kirsten says, and the dye class was great last night. The dye class was great last night. It was the tie-dye class, so it was very specific. We were really looking at this dye class, a few, simple dyeing methods just to get the baseline of what dyeing is and how you do, all of the basic things. But then we were really looking with the tie-dye class at using elastics and separating color. Right? Not necessarily in the same way you would tie-dye a shirt, but in different ways with big rectangular pieces. So I have the pieces that I did to show you. I just did small pieces, but we did the 4 seasons, and we did them in 4 different methods. And this was the winter one, right? So this is, oh, that's okay, Lisa. Next time. But, I wouldn't even be thinking about these really far gone rugs. First of all, if there's moths on the rug, we already know, I'm sure, not to take it, because I saw that recently. I picked up a rug in an antique mall and all these little moths flew off of it, and I just went nutso, right? Because that is like my worst nightmare. Super scary. But I wouldn't even be thinking about it if Judy hasn't evolved such a great Facebook page in such a short time, and if I didn't trust that she was so present with being helpful and sincerely helping people. I wouldn't even be thinking about it. No, Lisa, it happens. I hear you. My sister talked to me. Oh no, really? To be continued, right? To be continued. Maybe next time. Yikes, I know, right? Moths, our worst nightmare. But this is the one I did for winter, which it's hard to see light-wise, but we've got like a chamois color, and this was forest green. These are all Dharma colors, and nebula blue. That was the winter one. And then we went to the spring one that we did many different colors on. So this is a lot of sort of, again, Dharma Lime Pop, a little bit of Iris from Pro Chem, Mermaid's Dream from Dharma, some of my favorites, and then a very busy summer with Lobster Bisque in the background, and I think this is Iris actually, Berry Crush, a bunch of different colors came with this kit. It was a really many-colored kit, and then a more traditional kind of autumny one for autumn. So that brought us right through the 4 seasons, and I thought, I don't have any immediate thoughts about what to do with these colors, but now that I have them in my hand, I'm looking at them and thinking, I would like to do something immediately with these colors. We'll see how it goes. You know, I'm working on a lot of different projects for this book that are not just hooking projects, doing more stuff like, you know, illustrating, making penny rugs and lamb's tongues and that kind of thing. So using wool in a more of an applique manner than a cut up manner. So possibilities there. Anita, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. You know, and before I transition on, I have a few things to show you. I think there's only 2 of these left. The Monster Mash Halloween colors are very bold. Even the blacks are very different from each other. There's 3 different antique blacks. And then it goes into some very vibrant colors. I'm not getting good modern color today at least, but there's a lot of good Halloween colors in there. It goes to these kinds of, many of them, see this is a unique set, so I'm not going to be dyeing more of these anytime soon. But many of these are casserole dyes, and you can see the spottiness of them. And of course they come with the mystery pattern that I haven't shown you the design yet, but in the center it features a very traditional silhouette with either your choice, Witch silhouette or Bride of Frankenstein silhouette. And oh, I really like that one. There's some real pretty ones in here. I really like this one too, but they go together really nice. That's the Monster Mash set. That's on there. I think I forgot to put a link to it. And you know, I forgot to, I don't know how I did it. Before I got really crazy, I was finishing up, remember this from last week, the little sheep with the wearing the pumpkin? That is now on Ribbon Candy Hooking. I put a link to that with the big Magdalena, as in Magdalena E.B. Briner, Magdalena, the animals party, right, with all of their costumes on around the lollipop tree. This is one of the animals that I'm working on. This is the lamb. And I also did Bride of Frankenstein dog this weekend, and I forgot to bring it. It's not finished, but it was super cute. We'll ignore that phone. I'm so sorry about that. And I wanted to just remind you of some other Halloween designs because I'm so busy right now and I'm not putting out a lot of new stuff. This is one of the Nancy Thomases I was working on last year, and I at least started a series of how-to videos for this. I bet you anything that's Teddy. I think he's right in between his school stuff. The green pumpkin. And this one I started too. Oh, I had the one of the kids in the pumpkin patch too. I wonder where I put that. But I started Witches too. That's in the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. All the Nancy Thomases. Lots of Halloween. That's the Witches. Yeah, the other one was the kids in the pumpkin patch, and I had finished that one. I'm not even sure. I'll have to dig that one out. That one's there too. But the main thing I want to show you, because finally those 3 killer plants designs are up too. The poisonous plants in kind of a traditional motif. Lisa Sykes finished this and just sent it to me. Take a gander at how great she hooked this. So this one is up there now. I think this one is called Deadly Nightshade, and it has that very sort of I sent her all the colors and everything, so I don't know why I'm surprised that this is as amazing as it is. This is so amazing, Lisa. You did something with that kit that I could not have done. This is much better than I would do, so I'm very, very grateful for this. This is a beautiful, beautiful example. Little sort of jack-o'-lantern face, but yeah, I did kind of a Scooby-Doo type border, a little bit of an ethnic border to go with it, and that is, these flowers are deadly nightshade, which we know from, classical literature is quite deadly. But yeah, there's 3 of these in there, and this is one of them. And again, thank you to Lisa. I'm going to put this up year round because I absolutely love this piece. I love the way it turned out. Love it. Also, I'm about to put up this afternoon the next Design Like class, and this will be a class that the green blue pumpkin is great. That is great, isn't it? I've really got to finish that. Oh my God. I'm putting up a class that is not designed like an artist, right? This is going to be the first one that kind of deviates from our formula. This coming month is going to be design like, but it's going to be tavern signs, right? So like old time pubs, old-time tavern signs. And it's, with all of these classes, I do a little bit on the background of the person if we're looking at an individual, but this time we're looking at a broader subject. So we will be doing a little bit on the history of, for example, tavern sign names and motifs, not tavern sign routes or tavern routes, as interesting as those old stagecoaching days are. We're going to stay pretty focused on the imagery that we see in both British, if you're an Anglophile, and American taverns, old taverns. And it is going to come with a lot of drawings that are for you to use. If you want to use my drawings, you are always welcome to. Lots of different compositions, looking at how these old tavern signs were composed, looking at how and why the names that are often so whimsical were chosen. So it's going to be a very fun class, and very different. It's going to come with a lot. And we will do lots of exercises during the class to sort of stimulate your brain, your hand, to get drawing and writing some interesting things that you'll be able to use in your own composition, right? So that should be very fun. This is one that I started last year. I haven't gotten any further. This has been in Ribbon Candy all year. This is a tavern sign that I made up years ago because I loved the name. I used it for a story I was writing, The Devil's Punch Bowl. But I illustrated it last year, and I've got the devil in there looking quite devilish, and a very questionable cauldron with, just sitting on a table with his kind of talons around it. But this is one I really want to finish. I'm probably not going to get there this year. But it just reminded me how much fun it is to work on a tavern sign. So I'll put that up. And for those of you who are interested, join me for that. It's going to be another great composition class. Very, very basic, but lots of ideas, lots of brainstorming, lots of games that will get you designing. So that should be tons of fun. We are already so late in the episode that it's crazy, isn't it? Well, let me get started at least, and we can continue tomorrow. There's always so much to show on a Monday morning, right? So when I was in, no, it wasn't at the antique store with the red devil face, but as soon as we got the red devil face, Teddy immediately said, can we go to another antique store? Music to my ears. But there really isn't anymore up that way. So, so I said, you know what, we're on our way back home. I said, why don't we stop at Savers? And I have mixed feelings about Savers because it usually is just such a pile of garbage. But this time, he didn't find anything. He was looking for more masks and stuff. He didn't find anything that was exactly up his alley. But I found a couple of Bernat rug manuals. So we've talked about this era of hooking before, and this really blew me away. So I'm going to just get a little start going here. And then on tomorrow's episode, I really want to talk about these rugs because this is a 1953 publication. And Bernat is not really known for being innovative, right? But maybe that's, in my mind, maybe that's just a kind of generalization or some kind of weird pigeonholing that I have done over time, because this absolutely blew me away. The amount of modernist compositions in this catalog and in this manual is unreal. I mean, these rugs at this time were of the Pearl-McGowan era, right? There's very few rugs in here that represent that, right? Very specific. This certainly was the trend, the fashion for decorating in 1953, but this rug manual, and they also had, I bought both, this one here, two separate things, the Bernat no frame rugs. There's very few examples of traditional in here. I'm going to show you a couple, and then I want to return to this tomorrow because, in past episodes, we've talked about George Wells, right, on Long Island and his very modernist rugs. We've talked about, we had the whole week of modernist designing, and we did tons of name dropping and talked about artists, fine artists who are very modern, who were also designing rugs in a very abstract geometric style. It seems like Bernat killed it in this department. I don't know. I'll have to look again at the timelines to see how they sort of fit into each other, if they're running parallel or if one is before the other. But Bernat absolutely kills it. Again, we're going to look at this closer up tomorrow. But for example, in one cover, it's showing us a Navajo design. I think this one might currently be on eBay because I looked this morning. This one is just poppies, right? So this is a fairly traditional, but I think Remembrance Day was a way bigger thing in the 50s. I think more people were immediately alive, and we were talking about them and to them and thinking about them. So poppies were a huge thought. Algier, right? Like, look at this one. Is this crazy mix of sort of got that sort of Mediterranean feel, tile feel, but very unusual color choices. This Nova Scotia design that I know they have on eBay right now is charming, but it's their most traditional one that they're showing at this point in the early 1950s. And then we've got this one, trellis. Very, very unusual. These are latch. That is why they are referring to these as no-frame rugs, because this is the era of people getting together to hook, right? 1950s, certainly. But people were bringing over, either hooking on their lap, as we've seen so often in pictures, or bringing over some kind of a lap frame, right? And they can be heavy. What people really wanted to work on, I think, was like a standing frame, right? Like more like a Chetty Camp style frame. And I know that in part because Diana O'Brien, God, I forgot the name of her store. It's in Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts. And she was telling me a story about how her mother, this is like a year ago, her mother was going to Hookins and just learning, and she was bringing her floor frame with her because she thought she had to. And people were kind of laughing at her and remarking on it, other women. And so she stopped, but either the father or the husband, I can't remember who, in the family built her like a pipe frame made out of pipes, like for home building. And so because it was so lightweight, she started to travel with this frame, which didn't really get her any further with sort of ingratiating herself with people. She was still getting lots of looks and remarks, but it was lightweight and it worked, and she used it, and it became a patented frame. I'm going to have to write to Diana and refresh on that, because it's been a long time since she told me that story in person. Donna says, my father's football coach was the model for the family tree. He found out by seeing it at a museum and recognizing him. My mom researched and confirmed it was him. That is so nice, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Doing that kind of immediate family research is the most rewarding, gratifying, satisfying thing in the world, I think. That is so nice. What a great story. But yeah, all of these old-time kinds of stories, I think that the frame was a thing at this point. It was a thing. Did you bring it? Did you not bring it? If hooking on your lap wasn't your fave, it would present a problem. So I think Bernat jumped into the hole in the market. Hi, Hetty. Oh, thank you. Thanks again for Friday. It was so much fun, and I am going to visit for sure. No doubt about that. You know, I think Bernat jumped into that hole in the market by promoting latch hook, right? And that's a funny jump, isn't it? It's a funny jump. And you have to remember the era of the introduction of paint by number is 1950, firm date, and this is 1953. So I think when we have this sort of culture of women getting together making rugs, Bernat jumps in and says, I'm going to introduce the idea of a rug that you can make that you don't need a frame for. And when they do this. And that's, to me, this is remarkable, because Navajo, poppies, trellis is very modern. Nova Scotia is a bit of a hat tip to the past. Algier is very modern. And then initially I was going to say this is another kind of kickback. But when I look at it and think of it, that's really not a very old-fashioned design. If you think about it, this looks very 1950s to me in terms of being modern. They have the repeat pattern, which as far as pop culture and design at that time, you start repeating a pattern, right? This is like a decade before Andy Warhol, but repeating is going to become a very sort of hot trick design kind of trope, right? 3 repeated cats in very different colors, right? So this is actually much more modern than if you saw an oval with a cat reclining, maybe a few flowers on the side. This is much more modern. So I'm not going to put that design down at all. And then on the back, we have the half Algier, which is very like the other. Casablanca, extremely modern. What's this one here? Alte, I don't even know what that is. I'm guessing it's another place that I'm too ignorant to know where it be. And then we've got Tangier. And which one is this? Intarsia, so just a basic sort of old-timey design, very modern in its simpleness. This one that I used for the thumbnail today, super 1953. I mean, come on. This is incredibly modern. Bricks. Martha says, Hirschner's still have nice latch hook kits. Is that a department store, Martha? Hirschner's? So these are latch. And I left out lambs because you see what I'm saying with the cats. Lambs is quite similar. The two lambs repeated, two different sizes, quite modern. This is not Sunbonnet Sue with the lamb. These are two lambs that are meant to look very graphic and very modern, and they really do, don't they? Those are quite modern designs. These are very hard to find even on eBay right now. So this morning, I'm gonna tip my hand. This morning I put a search into eBay for like Bernat canvases because I was curious to see which ones in the future pop up. All of these designs I find super exciting and interesting. 1953, and there's more inside. And there's lots more inside. And there's more in the book that I want to share with you, but I want to expand on this theme tomorrow because I think Bernat was doing something very specific in terms of marketing. I think it was really ingenious. It probably carried them for decades, these no-hook rugs. And at the end of the day, the really sort of ironic thing, and we were talking about this, I think, in the Frida Kahlo design class last week, the really kind of ironic thing is that at this point in time, somebody brought up Rachel LeBlanc as an example, and she's a perfect example because she is such a talented sort of portrait hooker, right? That's what she's really known for, her true forte. She is known for using a latch hook backing, but rug hooking. And I believe that she uses a latch hook to rug hook into that backing. So of course we're talking about wider strips so they don't slip right back out. And I have tried this technique. I find it clumsy, but I am clumsy. I find it clumsy, and I would like to improve in this area because I think she's really onto something with that. I know she's not the only one that hooks into a rug hooking canvas. For me, the sort of fly in the ointment is the toggle part of the latch hook. And I for myself, I had to tape the toggle. Well, I'm saying I had to tape it away. I had to rip it off with my fingers because it infuriated me, and it had to die a sudden death. So I literally ripped the toggle off. It would have been more mature and adult if I had just taped it up and used it, differently another time. So that's my now latch hooking hook. But it's something to think about because the thing with these kits, and I think the thing in our minds with latch hook, and I will never talk bad about latch hook, and I won't permit bad talk about latch hook because it is another perfectly viable form of rug making that produces a beautiful product. But I think the problematic part of latch hook, if I'm honest, is that the pile is so high that whatever you're making becomes pixelated. And that's not for everybody in terms of how that looks. Of course, you can cut the pile. You can vary the pile. I did find some Bernat kits on eBay that were more sort of along the lines of a Waldoboro and had very different height, clipped to different heights kind of thing. But just remember that with latch, you don't have to use those pre-cut acrylic pieces. You can take a ball of yarn or wool or anything from Joann's or Michael's or your craft box store and roll it around a piece of cardboard and cut it and pre-cut your own pieces. So that if the part of latch hook that bothers you is the pixelation, won't fix that. But if the part of latch hook that bothers you is that you think the materials are a bit sort of not sounding high horse or being a snob, but are a bit inferior because they're always pre-cut acrylic strips in very limited color palette, you can completely bypass that argument by cutting your own pieces for latch hook, and that is super fun. And at that point, it becomes a question of, do I want to try hooking into a latch backing? Do I want to try experimenting with a no-frame rug? I mean, why shouldn't you? And particularly, and I always say it, if you have anything going on with arthritis or your hand, you hook a lot or punch a lot, and you feel it, it's nice to try something different. It's nice to put a different tool in your hand. Why not, right? But let's talk more about Bernat tomorrow because they really monopolized the market. And they were certainly out of the brands that were out there at that time making latch hook kits and rug hooking kits. And judging from these two periodicals I found this weekend, they were certainly the most innovative. So let's return to that theme tomorrow and look at some more designs for inspiration and research. See what else we can put into our sort of bag of tricks, our knowledge about the past. I'm so happy when I find these little things at Savers. They were $1 each, which is remarkable because lately Savers has been gouging like crazy. But these were $1.99 each, and a part of history, right? Because I have never seen them before. And I've seen a lot on eBay, but these were a little bit different, and they had completely different information. So important to share this information and get you thinking, not just about design and what's available on eBay, but about what you might do and what your next direction is for designing and your next project and all that. Very, very strange catalog of patterns, very exotic and wild. So that's a big TBC, to be continued. I will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, noon. Thanks, Linda. Thumbs up would be great. Thank you, April. Did I say something naughty? I probably did. Online catalog, Hetty. Oh, thank you. Online catalog. Oh, Hirschner's is an online catalog. Okay. You know, I was so tired the other night, I said one of the stupidest things I've said in a long time. I was looking at a catalog in bed. It was one of these like Miles Gimbel or Harriet Carter, right? I like to look at them because they're full of old stuff and mostly garbage, but some quite cute, funny things, right, that could be useful, particularly in the kitchen. And I was looking at it, and I said out loud, I was, I think, sleeping with Jocelyn, I said, I wonder how long it's going to be until you open a catalog and you can actually, expand the pictures. And she said, Mom, they already have that on the phone. Why would they ever do that on a piece of paper? And I thought, oh my God, it's time for sleep. When a 7-year-old kind of trumps me that way, what a stupid thing to say. Of course they're never going to make interactive paper catalogs as long as they've got digital screens, right? Cuckoo, cuckoo. Oh well. Oh, well, it was good seeing everybody this morning. Happy Thanksgiving again. Huge shout out to our Canadian friends today. I hope you are having a decadent day. I hope you are not thinking about pants and waistlines and zips and buttons. I hope you are going full throttle, pedal to the metal, enjoying yourself with food and drink. And we will take you a little bit rounder tomorrow, I hope, at noon Eastern Standard Time. Have a great afternoon, everybody. I'll see you then.